We've built the whole service, the model, the write side, the read side, authorization, the outbox. But it compiles as not it's correct. Every claim this series made, a draft can't be approved, a stale write is rejected, a duplicate payment counts once, is just a claim until something checks it, automatically, forever. That's what tests are. The specification turned into code that runs. Not a chore you bold on at the end. The proof that the spec and the service actually agree. Let's write the proof. Tests aren't one thing. They come in a shape, the pyramid. At the base, the widest band, domain tests. Pure logic, no database, no network. They construct a value object or fire a state transition and assert the result, and hundreds of them run in a fraction of a second. That speed is the point. It's the feedback you get on every save. In the middle, fewer application tests, your handlers running against fake repositories, so you test orchestration and authorization without a database. And at the top, a deliberately thin band, API tests that make a real HTTP request through the whole pipeline. You want most of your confidence coming from the fast base, and just enough at the top to know the wiring is real. Invert that pyramid, all slow end-to-end tests, and your suite becomes something you avoid running. Here's where most test suites are thin. It's easy to test that creating an order succeeds, and that test is nearly worthless because that path is the one everyone exercises by hand anyway. The value is in the failures. Every invariant from the spec deserves a test that proves the system says no. Approve an order that's still a draft. Assert 422. Cancel an order you didn't create. Assert 403. Send a stale if match. Assert 412. Submit with insufficient stock. Assert 422. Each of those is a sentence from the spec turned into an executable guarantee, and the moment someone refactors and breaks it, a red test tells them, instead of a customer finding out. A green happy path suite feels safe. A suite full of proven failures actually is. And pay special attention to the hard ones. The invariants this series spent whole episodes on, because they're the ones that are subtle enough to break silently. Concurrency, a test that sends a stale if match and asserts 412, one that omits it and asserts 428, one that sends the current version and asserts 200 with a fresh tag. Idempotency, fire the same request twice with one key and assert a single effect. Dispatch the same payment confirmed twice and assert the payment is recorded exactly once. The authorization matrix isn't a diagram in a doc. It's 3 tests per owner-scoped operation. The owner succeeds, a stranger gets 403, and admin succeeds. When these are green, you're not hoping the tricky parts work. You've proven they do. Here are 2 tests, one from each end of the pyramid. The domain test is as fast and direct as it gets. Arrange builds a draft order. Submit moves it to submitted, and then, still unpaid. We call approve and assert it fails, leaving the order submitted, never approved. No database, no HTTP, just the rule. You can't approve an order before its payment is confirmed. The API test is the other end. It spins up the real service with an in-memory database, creates a client acting as a specific user with specific permissions, and makes an actual HTTP request with a deliberately stale if match, then asserts the server answers 412. Same discipline both times. Pick an invariant, force the failure, assert the exact response. Trellis's assertions read like the spec, B failure, precondition failed, so the test says what it means. And here's the whole thing running. 4 test projects, domain, application, anti-corruption layer, and API. 62 tests, 0 failures, on a clean release build with no warnings. Every episode of this series is somewhere in that number. The value objects, the state machine, the concurrency codes, the idempotency replay, the payment round trip, the authorization matrix. This is what done looks like, not it ran on my machine once, but a suite that reproves the entire specification every time anyone touches the code. Green here means the service still does what the spec says. And that green bar is exactly what we're about to hand to a machine. So tests aren't the paperwork after the build, they are the build's proof. Keep the pyramid, fast domain tests at the base, a few real round trips at the top. Test the failures, not just the successes. And put a failing test behind every hard invariant. Concurrency, idempotency, eventing, ownership, so none of them can regress in the dark. 62 green tests mean the service and the spec agree, which sets up the finale. We've built this by hand, carefully, over 6 episodes. Next, we hand the exact same spec to an AI and see if it can build the same thing and pass the same bar. Subscribe, and I'll see you for the capstone.